Hello, thank you for joining us once again. Yes, we are now covering the 7th key driver of enterprise competitiveness. Earlier on this year, we started off with the first key driver, and you have moved this journey with us through the months till today when we start on the last key driver of enterprise competitiveness, which is the intensity of competition in both local and external markets. Enjoy!
We stood over the last aspect of the competitiveness of firms or companies a week ago in order to take stock of the sad events that happened in our country. We lost General Tumwine, the third army commander of the then young rebel group of the 1980s, the NRA, which birthed the current UPDF, a man who so symbolized the resistance struggles of Uganda of that period. Those of you with a bit of knowledge about Uganda might have an idea about the National Resistance Army, or the NRA. Its first leader was Ahmed Seguya, who died of natural causes. The second was Sam Magara, who was killed by the UNLA in an operation in Mengo area. And the third was Eli Tumwine, who just died a few days away to retirement from the army. Tumwine lost an eye to a bullet on November 1st, 1981, but he survived to lead the NRA as its first army commander after the January victory. He was as passionate about building the UPDF as he was with his art, with his culture, and his deeply Africa-centric fashion. He was a personal friend and someone I admired greatly for having courage and resilience, yet possessing a very soft underbelly for life and living life in simple, lightly, yet full against all adversities. The second loss of 2 weeks ago was that of Yona Kanyomozi, a man I first saw in the early 1980s when I was a boy. He was always neatly dressed in a white safari suit with thick rimmed glasses, and he had a slow, winding speech, very good-humored, very pleasant and easy to get along with. He and the later Donia Tverondwa, even if they were as old as my late parents, I would call them my friends. Friends in quotes, because they are older than me. My friends from the other side of the political rostrum. That's why I used to call them. Their children, such as Grace Tverondwa and Sabiti Kanyomozi, respectively, have kept this relationship going with my own family. They are my sister and brother in every way. Kanyomozi was a minister for cooperatives and marketing for Milton Obote's second government, and he, I was told, is the one, he was raised politically by the late Montuyera, a close friend of the Obotes and the young Museveni in the 70s. And Montuyera is the father of General Muntu, Major General retired Mugisha Muntu. Both Montuyera and now Kanyomozi in his time have had a deep impact on Ankole politics and Uganda generally, given their roles combined well over 80 years. You combine their service. I last met Yona at a bank in Kampala recently, a week before I heard he had passed on. At that bank we chatted and joked that I shouldn't be coming to the bank. He said, you keep your money at home, what are you doing in the bank? We laughed over it. I said, no, you have more money in the bank, you're older. I left him with a proposition. And the proposition was, and I keep, will you not keep in public life, even in your advanced age, even if it is for simply to nurture and genuinely speak and mentor young people? To which he answered that he had given up politics after 2011. Sad I didn't get to talk to him again. May the soul of both General Tumwine, who stood on the opposite side of Kanyomozi, now both united in death as Ugandan leaders, may their souls be kept in peace. And for those of us still alive, given a chance to still live, we must keep pursuing the mission of uniting thoughts and ideas across the spectrum, across generations, and making Uganda a better country. 4 points I want to go through on the 7th competitive lever. First, some people tend to assume competition starts in the market as companies where we sell our trades, whether domestic or the international markets. No, competition doesn't start in the markets. It starts from the supply side of what we put in those trades and the products before they go to the market. It is important to consider the supply side of what you do, your home ground, your household, so to say, before you face the competition, domestic market or abroad. If you have a weak supply side, you will not fulfill demand, which in my opinion is always actually available if you have a good product. Let me give you an example back at home at Thomas's farm. To be consistent with the increase in production of milk at the farm and to process it at the factory, we need very reliable power supply. Reliability is not a word in the vocabulary of the current service provider of power in Uganda. I don't want to mention. This is especially so in our villages, where some of us think, perhaps rightly, that factories should be located so that we can stem the tide of unemployed youth rushing to joblessness in urban areas. Even more, to have these factories and make the villages livable and encourage the educated people to move there. So, because power is rarely available from the supplier, we rely on a standby diesel generator with costs of fuel that have doubled in 9 months or less. Now, when this power, which is unreliable, sometimes comes, the few times it does, the quality of workmanship of some of our staff and the power company staff is woefully wanting. We contend with regular short circuits that we have to find an inspector, a supervisor to ensure all is well, even when those power systems are set up, laid by people who call themselves professionals. On top of this, to install new solar grid to replace these power sources we are using today is so costly that one is forced to keep our old technology when our competitors globally have moved on and they use cheaper and cleaner sources of energy. This same situation obtains with water supplies and other amenities. I don't want to waste a lot of your time. Now, when you add up all these and many other inefficient production systems in our companies, when you add to that the low levels of sanitary and phytosanitary conditions for food, when you add the poor enforcement of regulations that affect food, remember, food is where many of us are, you do not compete favorably on both the domestic and international markets. This explains why, even for the domestic market, where you would expect certain advantages such as transport, language, nearness of exploitable markets, where you think that local companies would have an advantage, the international competition does well on this market too. The intensity of competition on both markets starts with what we do at a company level and what sufficiency or the lack of it we have put in the nature of environment that we accord to companies before they go to the market with their products. We will meet again next week to expand on this. Have a great weekend.
Would like to hear from you. Please email us at info@tapmedia.com and visit our website at www.tapmedia.com. You can also visit our offices located at Tomosi Business Park, Luzira, Port Bell Road, or call 0414 220 702. Thank you.